News from the world of sports.
All right, and if you don't know, then you've been under a rock. There's been some major coaching carousel changes in the NFL these last 2 days. And one, I think that's the biggest shocker that just kind of came out, and we'll go ahead and jump into them. John Harbaugh is out of the Baltimore Ravens. I believe it was 17 seasons, had a 61% winning record, and he is out of the Baltimore Ravens. G-Mike, I know you've been on the last couple of years, you've been a big proponent for the Ravens. This one's a shocker to me. Do you think he lost the locker room? Because now it's starting to come out that some people are saying he lost the locker room. How did this all play out, do you think?
I don't know, man. I feel like the Ravens front office, I feel like they needed a fresh start. So they wanted to get rid of him and bring in someone else or whoever they think that's going to be. But after 18 seasons, he's won one Super Bowl, and most of his career with the Baltimore Ravens, they've been contenders. They've been to the playoffs, and they've been contenders on trying to get, to the big game. But yeah, he might as well have lost the locker room. There has been rumors that he maybe has, and then off this season, he wasn't really using their top player in Derrick Henry, who's a top running back in the NFL. They're not really using him to his potential, and we don't really know why. Only the coaches and the players really know why. But to me, it's like you guys are taking a big risk on letting this guy go. He's had a great success rate, and he's brought a lot of joy and a lot of happiness to the Baltimore Ravens organization when it comes to winning. And I feel like you getting rid of him after 18 seasons for now to go and risk to see who else is out there that you can bring in to lead these guys and try to get them back on the winning platform. I don't really like it because just like Charles has mentioned, the grass is not greener on the other side all the time. And John Harbaugh shows that he can lead a team to win. I feel like maybe he's getting a little bit older, but he's not that old, and he's not senile or anything. I feel like keeping him there, showing that he could still win and trying to prove himself after there's sometimes that he's had bad seasons and he's come back and he's bounced back and he's led the Ravens to like a 13-3 team. So I don't know. I feel like it was a bad jump to the gun. I feel like they should have just kept him, and now we're gonna see who they go with because it's gonna be a big risk, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. I was shocked when this one came out, and it kind of all of a sudden, right after that game, reports started coming out that there was rumblings in the locker room that maybe this is going to happen. I cannot remember the last time that the Ravens have quote unquote sucked. I can't remember the last time in the last few years that they've been a bad team. This year, they have dealt with a lot of injuries and a lot of adversity. And guess what? They were one kick away with a rookie kicker from going to winning the division after going, 0-5? So I think that this was a like you were saying, a kind of a jump in the gun. And I'm not going to say blaming him because they didn't come out and say that. They've been really polite in what they've said about him. But I think that it was a bad move. I think that he's an adult, and he's an adult in the room. And that team, yes, they did have on paper one of the best rosters in the league, flat out, and it did come up short. But it also doesn't help that your MVP level quarterback goes out for multiple games. There was a lot of things that happened that was out of his control, and yet he still almost had them winning the division after being down 0-5, I believe, the start of the season. So from the rumors that I've heard in it that came out, that he's already had 7 teams already reach out to him, and this news just broke today. Now, granted, I'm sure the writing was already on the wall with the owners and all these other guys prior to that point, but 7 teams already going after him. So I think that says enough about what the level of this guy is at, is that pretty much everybody's like, okay, hey, we'll pay for his plane ticket to get here now if we just to get him in the building. So.
And let's not forget the last few seasons. In 2023, Zay Flowers goes in for the touchdown, diving into the touchdown, fumbles the ball, end up costing the Ravens the game. Last year, Mark Andrews drops the ball. Obviously, there's things that go on in the whole game for sure, but we're talking about crucial moments at the end of the game where they could have won. Zay Flowers fumbling, Mark Andrews dropping the 2-point conversion, and then this year the kicker missing the field goal to send them into the playoffs.
BC, you were saying that you were walking and you were just like in shock whenever it happened.
Well, yeah, it was. I did not expect to see that for sure. Like I know that Baltimore, they struggled a lot this year, but again, like G Mike said, there's not a lot of history of the Ravens being trash. Ever since the whole franchise has been here, they've had success after success. Yes, not as much as other franchise, but they're undefeated in the Super Bowl. They have two of the greatest teams of all time, and some of the greatest coaches that have coached the teams, and Brian Billick and Jim Harbaugh. So like this has been a successful franchise by many stretches of the imagination. So it came as a shock, but like as you guys were alluding to as well, if a coach is starting to lose the locker room, like we said, due to maybe not playing his players right, putting them in the correct position, not utilizing them properly, maybe that does speak to something to ownership that maybe, he's losing the locker room. Players just don't feel the same way about him now that they used to. Maybe a lot of those old messages that he was used to teach, used to coach to his players, maybe it just kind of rings hollow now. And maybe they are wanting to bring in somebody that has something different, has some more juice, or has a message that gets across to the players. And I'm not saying it's necessarily the right or wrong thing, but it's just as an ownership group, if you're seeing your players just kind of ignoring your coach and everything's just kind of there's a what's the word? There's a kind of a gap between the coaches and the players. You need to find something to be able to do it, and it's a lot easier to probably fire a coach and get a new coaching staff in than it is to get an entire new team.
Charles, man, I know it's probably a shock for everybody. What was your thoughts when you saw this news break?
So I wasn't surprised by it. I have heard a lot of things about him being gone, but I agree with what you were saying earlier, Stevie. Talking about kind of like a man's coach. He's an adult in the room of other men, a leader of men. He's somebody who does have pretty good X and O coverage. He's not just like a raw coach where he just wills you to a team of near your potential and falls short against real coaches. I do think he's worthy and he's capable. And like you said, grass is greener. Well, who are you going to get to replace him? Everybody else is going to want him the second he's available. If we would have got rid of Zach Taylor and Cincy, I would have wanted him immediately. Trust me, I'm a big fan. However, also 17. Hey, yeah, exactly. 17 blown double-digit leads, most by any coach in my lifetime. Like 40-something blown for second-half games in general. 20-something fourth quarter collapses in the past 10 years. Or in the past 10 years, 10 in the past 2 years. It's too many end-of-game poor decision-makings, coupled with there was a lot of rumors that and that's not even getting into what George was talking about with these like last-second dumb, ridiculous things that's happening, including the Bengals playoff game where they fumbled on the goal line and we returned it for a touchdown. But there's been a lot of rumblings that him and Lamar kind of had a disconnect, that the team and him have kind of been at a disconnect just because of, in terms of the front office, because of his decision to keep Todd Monken around at offensive coordinator, seeing how they do keep abandoning the run in the second half of games for, I have no clue what reason. They just did it again in this last game against Pittsburgh. But I know Derrick Henry's had some weird fumble issues this year. But even with that said, if Derrick Henry is one of the best backs in the league, one of the best backs in recent history, just keep running the freaking ball. And you don't have a quarterback, no offense, that is just slinging it all over the place. I know Lamar's been an MVP guy, and I've kind of, people say I'm like a Lamar hater. I'm not a Lamar hater. I do think he is the best quarterback, probably of all times, of running quarterbacks. But at the end of the day, if he could not run the way he can run, we would be judging him the way we judge Herbert, the way we judge other guys like that don't get the job done come playoff time, and they just look like ducks out there. But that's another thing altogether. I think the biggest thing is just these fourth quarter collapses, the disconnect with the Todd Monken thing. Choosing to hang on. He hung his hat on him for the past 2 years. They were trying to get rid of him. He said, I'm going to stick with him. And nothing's changed. They stopped running the ball. They keep blowing the games late. I love the end of the argument. This year was not the right time for it. But the fact that they were even in this, they shouldn't have been in it. They had too many injuries and nothing good going on. So this was just the right timing to make it look like a good time to do it. But I don't really feel like this year validates that decision. I would have stuck with him, and I'm glad he's gone because as a Bengals fan, get this team out of my face. I'm dying for them to suck.
I want to send it in a personal, you're welcome to come on here anytime because I'm always Lamar hater on here, and I get eaten alive all the time because I'm always the one that's like, I don't get why everybody thinks he's that great and stuff. So you're welcome with me anytime, my friend. I need all the troops I can get.
Two-time MVP.
Yep. Never gets the job done in the playoffs. Yeah, that's okay. We're just gonna look past that. Don't worry, buddy.
But he makes
just because he can run. Correct. Yeah, correct.
That hasn't been the case. That hasn't been the case the last 2 years, though.
I
He
don't know,
got
man.
bounced.
He got bounced,
Yeah.
but it's a team game. He's still putting up
He
numbers.
he threw that interception into the end zone where the camera panned out to try to see who's trying to throw to. It was like 3 defenders in the end zone. I'm like, what are you doing, guy?
Yeah,
Like,
it was
I
a bad
know,
mistake for sure, but he still came back in those games and he still put up numbers.
Yeah, playoffs a 4-quarter game, man. You can't dig your hole and then climb out of it and expect to get all the credit at the end. He failed.
You have players not catching the ball or fumbling the ball too.
The collection of failures, yes, but he has to take his part because
Oh,
if he had gone on to win any of those Super Bowls 20 years from now, we'll go, oh, that's Lamar Jackson, Super Bowl winning quarterback. We're not saying, Marshall Yonda, Super Bowl winning offensive guard. Like, nobody cares. We talk about Joe Flacco and the Super Bowl that he did, and we talk about
the quarterback is the well-known position, which is why they get the most money because they're the face of the team. 100%, they got the ball
and
on offense 100% of the time in their hand, unless they run a wildcat. They got, of course, but the thing is,
so you got to take the blame.
11 on 11.
Yeah, I know, but if you're gonna get bonus claim, then you're gonna get bonus hate. Like, you have to also be there for the hate. You know?
Yep.
I just
Josh Allen's being jumped on for missing that one pass in the end zone as if nobody would trade their quarterback for him right now.
Yeah, I just feel like a lot of people need to realize that when it comes to team sports, it's not it's we. Just like basketball, just like baseball, just like freaking hockey. The only other sports are UFC, golf, tennis. Those individual ones because they put the blame on themselves. But when it comes to team sports, you can't just blame it on one guy. There's a whole bunch of things that happen during a game that people make mistakes, and it just happens.
Yeah, but he's the only guy that never carries the burden of failing. He's always, but Mark Andrews dropped the pass one time at the end of the game. Like, what about the rest of the game?
In that game, he had a fumble and an interception in that game.
That's something that's been happening for the whole time as well. Is that I completely agree with you, but absolutely amazing athlete. You can't deny that. But
exactly.
What has he done?
He's
a two-time MVP. That's what he's done. Exactly. He's a two-time MVP.
You can have every MVP for the rest of my life.
When people say that he's not great as what other people think, it's like, okay, but why does he get a two-time MVP? Why does he do a lot of damage during the regular season? Yes, in the playoffs, I agree. He doesn't do a lot, for sure. Yeah. But during the regular season, he does a lot of damage. That's like saying James Harden is not a great player. He does a lot of damage during the regular season. He goes crazy. In the playoffs, it's a different story. He's not a winner.
I'm glad you used him as the example because the game changes in the playoffs. NBA slows down, goes more half court. And now you can really, truly go, okay, we got this one guy. Here's how we're going to approach him for a 7-game series. In the NFL, the game doesn't be perceived as slowing down, but it really does. You see teams hold back plays, for matchups, and like, we're like David talked about it the other day. I think it's the I'm blanking on which team. Denver, saying, okay, well, hey, we know who we might be playing come second round. We're going to hold back what we could be doing in these last 2 games because we want to set up for what we can be doing in the playoffs. Like, it's so keyed in, and I don't think Lamar has the X's and O's down enough to make adjustments on his own during a playoff game, and he hasn't been able to prove that. He just keeps coming up. He gets loose, he gets comfortable late, and then his interview, he says, I was nervous. And I'm okay with that. I'm not going to hate him for saying that, but it's like, you're not going to get the job done. I'm not going to give you your flowers.
Yeah, and that's, for me, like, that's the thing that I agree with as well. It's one of those things where he's a great player. No one's denying the talent. No one's denying the skill. But when you have one of the best teams year in and year out, again, competition aside, we get it. Bills, Chiefs, elite teams too. No one's discrediting that. But if you want to take that next step, you have to actually start putting in wins in the postseason. You got to start making a Super Bowl appearance, at least getting to that final round. And that's, to me, that's the last thing that he needs to do. And that's kind of the problem with him. I'd say that's a problem with Josh Allen though too. Again, getting close, just can't get over the hump. And that's the problem. Being a great regular season quarterback, you got to be able to take it. And there's no excuses for it. This team is too talented not to be going to the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
So with the news of John Harbaugh getting fired, it goes to my point that it's not about just one player. It's about the whole team, coaches, trainers, players, front office, owner. It's the whole thing put together when it comes to a team game, which is why John Harbaugh is getting fired, because they think that he can't do it. He can't coach them to win. And Charles brought it up. 17 big-time blown losses. Freaking 20-something. I don't remember what the stat was, but the fourth quarter that they couldn't get it done. It's like, okay, so it's not all on Lamar. It's not all on Mark Andrews. It's not all on Zay Flowers. It's not all on John Harbaugh. It's all together. Yeah.
But the problem is that somebody's going to have to be the scapegoat for this year, and it just so happened the lots fell on John Harbaugh.
Which is what I'm saying that I don't agree with. That what I don't understand with people when they watch team sporting events, why does it have to be one person? Why can't it be a collective? Is what I'm saying.
It's just easier to get rid of the coach.
Exactly. Then it is.
No, facts.
Contractually, financially.
You give it to the star player. You give it to the star player. You give it to the head coach. Which is why they're the first ones either to get traded or get fired.
I think a big showing of that is just I'm bringing in the Bucks here, going from Liam Cohen as your OC to Josh Grizzard. Big case point. I know that there was injuries and crap like that, but top 5 offense, middle of the pack at best, probably more the bottom third. So
Jags, bottom third offense, one of the best suddenly.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that's the thing. One man, it's one of those things where it's a team sport, but one man can really make a difference. It just depends what's going on in here, what's all in your mind.
Well, I think we can all agree now that John Harbaugh is out of Baltimore. The excuses for the Lamar thing is going to get even more. If Lamar can't do anything in the next 2 years, was it really Harbaugh, or it's going to be the same thing as Mike Belichick Brady? Who was better? Was he holding them back? And if you remember, Bash, I found it kind of strange whenever I heard the reports that Charles was alluding to as well, that all of a sudden Harbaugh and him had disconnect. If you remember back, 2 years ago? All those clutch situations, you'd always see Harbaugh and Lamar talking to each other, and Harbaugh would be like, what do you want to do? Do you feel comfortable with this? Like, let's run what you feel comfortable with. And Lamar kept on constantly, I love him. He asked me what I really want to do. So I just found it so strange that all of a sudden, just out of the blue this year, everything is falling apart. I don't buy it. I feel like that they were looking like you were saying, maybe if they were just looking to change it up or something. And I think that he's kind of taking the fall for the whole team in general. He's kind of taking the fall for the whole team being injured and just Lamar not being there. And we'll see how it goes the next 2 years, because I think that's really going to be the biggest factor. If they get a new guy in there and Lamar still doesn't do anything, I think that's going to be a big problem.
I mean, winning does a good job of solving a lot of those problems, though, too. If you're winning, you don't really care if there maybe is some disconnect, quote unquote. You just kind of live with it because you're winning. But then once that gets taken away, it's like, all right, that don't fly anymore.
Yeah, but again, Gio just alluded to here, Harbaugh 12th all-time in wins. He wasn't the problem. And what we alluded to earlier, Harbaugh is his success rate is 62% or whatever.
I think it's 61, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So most of his seasons he was winning. So one bad season, just okay. Now we're gonna let you go.
Yeah, this is all playoff based. It's playoff based because the regular season, like you mentioned, it was just a nice hot button opportunity to go. Hey, look right there. There's our opportunity to get rid of him because this team has not performed in the playoffs and they have too much talent.
His playoff winning percentage is over 60% as well, I believe. I think he's 61% in the playoffs as well. He's 199 and 100 or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly what it was, or 199 and 20 or something like that, or 120. So he has a winning percentage in the playoffs as well. So it's not like this guy is choked in the playoffs all the time or something too.